Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan, and today we'll be covering my personal top 25 for college football. I waited for the AP poll, the coaches poll to come out. I think the college football playoff poll or something like that's going to be coming out. I'll put up what polls going to be eventually coming out. They're at 29 to 50 right now. And also check out CFB reports or CFB alerts on Instagram. That's where I get a lot of my information from. League alerts is where that comes from. So if you want very good news networks and news spots, check League Alerts out on Instagram. So there's a couple things on here I want to cover. First of all, there's three things like that are how I do this. One, if you had a matchup last year against them, do I think it was a coincidence that you beat them? Or do I really think that you really beat them and it was like, okay, you deserve to be higher ranked than them because of that? Number two is my personal feelings towards them. And some of these people on this list, some of these teams on this list will be higher ranked than the college football polls. And like the AP poll, I'm not basing my opinions off of that. I'm just basing off how I personally feel about these teams and how they're going to produce this year. And number three, if I don't have a bias, I'm going to be as unbiased as possible. But if I end up seeing one of your games last year, again, I've not watched all 25 of these teams, it's full 12 games. And if I saw a game from you last year or a player that really stood out, maybe I'll put you a bit higher than I do for other teams because I have, again, higher expectations for them than other people would based off what I saw from them. So I'm not trying to be biased. I'm just trying to give my best opinion based on what I've seen. I'll give a couple honorable mentions, and I'll go to them real quick. I'm not really going to explain why because I'm going to explain why everyone else is at the top 25. Kentucky did not make the list. That was one of the teams I was considering. Wisconsin didn't. Iowa didn't. A&M didn't. Texas A&M did not make the list. Oklahoma did not make the list. And I'll go through why with these lists and stuff. Again, the main thing I'm going to go off of is what you've proven to me and proven to the world of college football and stuff like that. And also what I've seen of you in person. Like, for example, Oklahoma. I've watched a lot of Oklahoma, or tried to at least. But the two main games that stood out for me from last year were three, were all end up being losses for Oklahoma. I'm at four. One of them was a loss. One of them was a win against Nebraska. Then I watched the Kansas State, Texas, and TCU game mainly, and some of the Florida State and Oklahoma won the bowl game, and they didn't look that impressive. And so, nowhere close to the top 25 team in my opinion. So yeah, let's just jump into it. Number 25. I'm sorry for a long intro, but yeah, top 25. At number 25, I have Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech is very much criminally underrated on the board of other teams and stuff like that. I think Texas Tech's a very good team. They showed to be pretty good in their bowl game against Ole Miss, and they have a pretty good defense. Their team can improve, but they went 8-5 last year. I think that's where they're going to be around this year. But I think this team can go back to be really consistently good at around 8-5, 9-4 range when it comes to everything. Number 24, Mississippi State. A lot of people are very much undervaluing Mississippi State. I think this team is going to be very good for Mississippi State. I love Will Rogers. Their defense isn't half bad. They're kind of in the middle of the pack, what I say, in the SEC. They're not great, not bad. They're in the middle, I'd say. I think they were 8th in scoring defense in the SEC last year. So, again, middle of the pack. But their offense is very good. I think their new coach coming in, I think his name is Zach Arnett. Could be wrong about that. I'll put up his name if I got it wrong. But this head coach coming in, different offense, allow Will Rogers and them to run the ball, but also he can throw the ball because he's proven to be great at throwing the ball throughout his career at Mississippi State. Number 23, I have North Carolina. And North Carolina on this list because their talent is very good. I like the roster, and I'm a big fan of Drake May. I think when you have a top 5 quarterback in the NCAA, you're bound to be on this list. You're bound to be on here probably. On all these quarterbacks. All that talent this team has, mainly of Drake May. Their defense sucks. They would be higher on this list if they actually had a good defense, but their defense really needs to prove themselves. And again, if I like you as a quarterback, I like you as a player on the team, I might put you a bit higher because that's my personal preference. I would like how Drake May plays, so I'm going to put them at 23. A little bit lower than other people put them, but when I go through every one, I think you understand why. I have them there. Number 22, I have Ole Miss. Ole Miss, I know they did lose to Texas Tech last year in the bowl game, But at one point, Ole Miss was a top 10 team in the country of undefeated. They lost to LSU, then they just went downhill completely. And because of that, I think they proved themselves a team that can make to the top 20, top 10. And because of that, I think they're very fair at number 22 of Judkins is a great running back, probably the best in the country, or one of the better running backs in the country at least, since Bijan Robinson has left Texas. At number 21, I have Tulane. Tulane is on this list mainly because they won the AAC last year, and because of that, they end up playing USC in the bowl game, and they end up beating them. So great job for Tulane. They've earned the spot here at 21. And yeah, shout out to Tulane, the Green Wave. At number 20, I have Arkansas. Arkansas is up here at number 20. I know, right? I'm asking why. I love Sam Pittman. I love how he's doing there. I love how KJ Jefferson plays. They got Rocket Sanders, also known as Raheem Sanders. I'm pretty sure that's his name. I'll put it up if I say it wrong. I'm sorry, I'm bad with names. But they're really good. I think the only problem with them is that they weren't that healthy when KJ Jefferson got hurt, and that ended up being a big problem for them. And they lost a couple games because of that. But they showed really good glimpses of being a really good team. And the year before, they had a really good record with good competition, and they were a top team the year before. So they proved to be good teams like Ole Miss. So because of that, I think if they're more healthy this year and more consistent, they'll be in the top 25. And number 19, I have Oregon State. I think Oregon State's a pretty good team. I think this is a fair spot. They proved that the run game's good. It's pretty good defense. And if you're pretty good on both sides of the ball, outside of throwing, which is important, they would be higher if they were good at that. But rushing and defense, great formula to win. Proved against Oregon how that can work. So I have Oregon State at 20. Oregon State at 19, I'm sorry. Number 18, South Carolina. I'm high on South Carolina. I am a Tennessee fan. That might be a reason why, because they absolutely torched my team last year. And I love Spencer Rattler. I love how this team is going to play for them. I love how Shane Beamer's playing for them as the head coach. I love how he's fitting with this team. It's going to work. I think they showed high potential. They showed their potential last year at the end of the year, beating 2 top 10 teams. One in a blowout, one on the road in your biggest rival game of the year against Clemson. Gotta love it if you're a South Carolina fan. I'd be very excited for them this year. And the top 25. I put them at 18. That's a pretty good spot, I feel like. Two of the rankings not having them in the top 25. I don't know what they're doing, but A&M's in the top 25. They didn't even make a bowl game last year. Prove themselves. A&M's one of those teams that they need to prove themselves to be able to be up here. Number 17, Kansas State. They won the Big 12 last year. I know they lost a good amount of guys, but they made the Big 12 championship, and they won it. So I got to give some respect. They did get blown out by Bama, though, which is not a good thing for them. But a lot of teams did. So I'm not going to blame them for getting blown out by Bama. But you did very good in the Big 12 games last year. That's mainly what you can do. And I'm pretty sure you blew up Missouri or beat them badly. Something like that. You beat them. And number 16, I have Notre Dame. They are, I think, at a very, very spot here. I think they could easily step back a bit. But I doubt that. I think Sam Hartman's a very good quarterback coming from Wake Forest and normal passing offense. I think being able to run the ball is going to be very good. I like how Marcus Freeman is at a head coach. So I think Notre Dame's pretty fair. Number 16 right here. I like their overall team. They're just not as good as some other teams are, but they're not as bad as others. Yeah. Number 15. Some people might not like this. Texas. Yeah, if you're watching me talk about the AP poll, top 25, you heard that I was not high on Texas. Why? Because they haven't proven anything. They've not proven to highly win. They've not won the Big 12 title game. And I don't know how long. And they've not actually been to one in a couple years. I think like 4 or 5 years. So they need to prove themselves because there's a lot of talent on that team, but got to be able to win some. And because of that, I put you at 15. I know some people had them in the top, like their top 10. I know the polls had them at 11. 15 is a good spot in my opinion. And at number 14, you have Oregon. Why do I have Oregon here? I love Bo Nix as a quarterback. He's very good. Only problem is that they have messed up a couple times in big games last year, but they were close losses. And I think they proved themselves a little bit more than Texas has. They proved themselves a bit more, in my opinion. And they have more of I'd say more of a proven quarterback, too. He was very inconsistent at Auburn, but a whole lot of playing time and knew what big games were like. And he performed pretty good in those big games. Just overall, they did execute fully. Like against Washington, he got hurt at one point. and against Oregon State. They ran completely through them, Oregon, at one point. They made a 20-point comeback, something like that, without passing. That's insane for Oregon State. But I love how this Oregon team is going to play. And also, I kind of like Oregon. They're my first ever favorite team. At number 13, you have TCU. TCU, I think, is underrated compared, putting them at not in the top 15. I don't understand that. They just made national title game last year. I know they lost Max Duggan. I know they lost Quentin Johnson. But his team's still very good. He got a lot of weapons coming from Alabama. You got Chandler Morris at quarterback. And Sonny Dykes is a good head coach. I think they're fair number 13. Right in the middle of everything. They could jump up, go back down, but at least top 15 at minimum. Number 12, Washington. Washington, I like Washington, but I reviewed this and I'm like, okay, there's a lot of good teams on this list. And there's a lot of good teams in college football right now. Very good teams that could rise, could fall. And Washington's one of those teams that I just need to see how Michael Penix and everyone plays again. I just need to see this again for them to do consistently. And I love Michael Penix. I think he's a very good quarterback. I just need them to do it more consistently. And this team that comes up after this is very consistent. Utah, they're back-to-back Pac-12 champions. And because of that, very first spot at number 11, in my opinion. I think Cam Rising is very good. And I like how this team plays very physical, different than a lot of the Pac-12 teams. But that brings them an advantage. That's why they beat USC twice. Also, Caleb Williams got hurt at one point. But he still beat them like 20-something. Proves their physicality there. And this team up next is not fully proven, but they had a very good year last year. Washington also had a very good year last year. But I like this team. I'm going to mention that number 10, a little bit more than them, and that is Florida State. Why do I like them more? It's not because really their team is full on better. It's because they're very favorable in their conference. They're very favorable in the conference to prove themselves as a better school. It's just playing wise. I think if Florida State and Washington played, I would bet money, if I had to bet, on Florida State. That might be just me. I have no real reason why I have them at number 10 outside of I love Jordan Travis and I love how this team plays. I think they will just get better. I think they're ready for the leap up. And Florida State, I mean, just last decade they won the national title and they've proven to be very good for a good amount of time. And I just like this team a little bit more than Utah. There's no real in particular reason on why. I just kind of have a feeling for what I've watched of Florida State. I like them a lot. At number 9, I have Clemson. I think Clemson's the very spot here. They got to be the highest ACC team on your top 25. Clemson won the ACC title game last year, and I kind of like Cade Klubnik, but you got to prove himself to make sure he's like efficient. We had a great game against North Carolina, then a pretty bad game against Tennessee, so he's got to be consistent. And because of that, I have them at number 9. They got to prove themselves even more. Let me take that back. They don't need to prove themselves. Cade Klubnik got to prove himself, not the team, because they have proven so many times before how good they can be. Just him specifically, I'd say. At number 8, I have Penn State. I like Penn State at number 8. Drew Allen, we're going to see how he's going to play. Nick Singleton is very good at running back. And I like their team overall. They have problems beating Ohio State and Michigan. And because of that, I have number 8, because I feel like to be in the top 7, you got to be able to beat a really big team. And they've not really done that recently. So, I mean like the past 3 years. So because of that, I have them at number 8. Number 7, Tennessee. Tennessee at number 7 because I really love their offense, but their defense definitely much of a question. And I've heard some good signs from them that they're going to be a pretty good defense. Not great, but they don't need to be great. You just need to get good times and get stops, and I think they can do that possibly this year. And at number 7, I think is a very good fair spot for them because they've proven to be very good teams last year. They have a lot of questions to see how Joe Milton's going to play. Is their whole line going to be good? Is their defense going to be good? We're going to see what happens, and I hope the best for Tennessee because, well, I'm a Tennessee fan. I think number 7 is a fair spot for them. Now we're at number 6. I got USC at number 6. I think it's very self-explanatory. A lot of people with them at number 6, and I'd agree because you have Caleb Williams, the Heisman winner. You have the 2 best offensive minds in college football of Cliff Kingsbury with Lincoln Riley, and their defense is definitely a question, but their defense doesn't have to get tested until I think until we have to play Notre Dame. But it's gonna be. I have to recheck the schedule. I'll put it, in my opinion, their toughest opponent early on in the schedule is they'll test their defense. So I have them number 6. They're gonna work on their defense and stuff. I know this is a longer video, but I like fully explaining my opinion when it comes to things. So yeah. Now we're in the top 5, and some people might question my top 5 here. The order. I think everyone knows what my top 5 is going to be, but the order is my question. Number 5, you have Ohio State for me, because I have to see Kyle McCord be very good. And I've seen Ohio State struggle a bit in other games. And I've seen him struggle heavily against Michigan twice, especially running the ball. So you have a team that can run the ball through them. I think they could probably win. And it's proven that before. The year before last, they lost to Oregon mainly because of the run game. Michigan, they lost mainly because of the run game back-to-back years. They had to work on the run game. They got to do that. But when they're hitting on all cylinders, you almost beat Georgia. And when they're looking bad, they can't stop Michigan with their second-string running back, who I think had a cast on. So that's not good. I mean, Donovan Edwards is really good, but yeah, he's no Blake Corum, in my opinion, at least. And also Ohio State, you have Marvin Harrison Jr. He can make any team a top 15 team. So the offense is very good. I question their defense a bit. So, and their quarterback situation with Kyle McCord. So, number 5, but they're still a very good team. So that's why I have them there. And number 4, I have Alabama, because their because I talk about the run game. Run game is phenomenal, and there's no question about that. And their defense is pretty good, not great, pretty good, in my opinion. And for Alabama, their main problem is quarterback. You got to figure out who your quarterback's going to be. And people say, "Oh, it's not a problem. You'll figure it out." You know who you're facing in week 2, right? You're facing Texas, team you almost lost to last year. And Texas at 15. They're no scrub. They were no scrub. You got Xavier Worthy there. Quinn Ewers is pretty good. He's inconsistent, but he's pretty good. And maybe he's just on that day, and you're going to have to go shootout for shootout somehow. Can you have a quarterback who's going to do that? I don't know. But your teams are very good, and hopefully you can control the game like how you did with like Jake Croker was the last guy they had that wasn't like a top tier quarterback, and they won the national title that year. But also had Derrick Henry, so that's kind of a big help, I'd say. So yeah, and then I have LSU at number 3. Why? I really like what I saw from LSU. I think their defense might be the best, one of the better defenses in the country, probably the second best in the SEC behind Georgia. And Harold Perkins cannot run anyone at quarterback. And I think that's the main difference is him. He, no matter who you put at quarterback, cannot run him. It's that simple. You showed against Arkansas, they put that really fast quarterback out there. It's like, how are you going to catch him? Then he chased him down like it was nothing. So he's an extraordinarily great athlete as a freshman. Their offense is pretty good. They beat them last year with the main guy for Alabama that was keeping them afloat was Bryce Young. And they don't have him anymore. So I'll be interested to see what happens. But Mason Smith's coming back, so I'm going to clog up the middle. I have LSU at number 3. I think LSU's going to be very good this year. Number 2, I have Michigan. Michigan number 2 because the run game is so good. They can't win the playoff game, though, which, Jim Harbaugh, please win one. I'm rooting for you. Hopefully you make a national title game. And I think Michigan's honestly a very good team. I think this is the best roster they've had in the Jim Harbaugh era. With Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards just a very good running back. But, again, when I say he's no Blake Corum's a Heisman level running back. So there's levels to this. He's a level 1 or 2 below him. No problem with that. No problem with that at all. I got Michigan number 2 with J.J. McCarthy. Great offensive line, great defense. I'm excited for this team this year, and I expect you should be excited too if you're a Michigan fan. And at number 1, Georgia. Not a question at all. You got Brock Bowers, you got Thad McConkey, you got Carson Beck, who's going to look pretty good. Their offensive line's going to be phenomenal. Your defense is going to be very good. And you have the easiest schedule in college football. So yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory there, and this is my top 25. Put down in the comments what you feel about this. I know this is a longer video than I usually do, but I like to explain my picks instead of just tell you and keep moving. So yeah, hope you all have a great day, guys, and females, just anyone out there. So thank you for watching. Yeah, just thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you like this type of stuff. We cover football every day, or try to at least, because school and stuff gets in the way. Yeah. And then just stuff that happens in life. I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, hope you all have a great day. Hit the like button if you like this video. Hit the comment whatever you want. If you can subscribe, give me on your top 25. Give me on top 25, specifically in order if you'd like, or give your opinion about whatever I said here. And again, hope you have a great day. Stay safe, y'all, and God bless y'all.